big issue for most business owners when they're implementing marketing is that they are trying to on the first day. When people are consuming your content and your information, they're actually developing a relationship with you and they start to perceive you as a friend. We are marketing to people who are in the 1 to 3% of people who are actively buying right now, and they're usually making a decision based on price. Adds so much value that they would feel almost guilty not doing business with us.
Welcome back, Jackson.
Back again. Haven't got enough.
Mushroom shirt again.
I am. I haven't moved, in fact.
You haven't moved?
Yeah,
oh my goodness. I've been out and come back. Anyway. All right, the game. You ready?
Let's do the game.
The game. All right, so we have Jackson Milan here, the wealth coach, and he is choosing his topic.
There you go.
Topic 3, marketing and business.
Yes.
Okay. Is that what we want to hear about, guys? Marketing and business. Sounds so boring. All right. Marketing.
And that's the typical response from business owners. It really is.
Serious?
Yes.
But marketing is your connection to the humans involved. How can it be boring? I was being, facetious.
Yeah, it's very, very common. So business owners almost feel like they exist inside a vacuum, right? That people should just discover them. And it's hard to know any different. Like I remember my first e-commerce business. I had no experience doing anything. It was purely built out of ego, right? The story actually was, I went into King's Cross one night with my friends and I didn't go to any of the naughty places. There was a club that was there. And I just met this guy in passing. He was a friend of a friend. And he whipped out a business card. And I can't remember what his business name was, but on the front it said fashion designer. And I looked at this guy and I go, "You're a fashion designer?" And he goes, "Yeah, I've built my own brand. I've got this successful e-commerce business." And we've got chatting and I was kind of picking his brain about it. But the whole time I was thinking, I'm like, if this guy can do this, I can do this. And so then out of that idea, my business Siete Clothing Co. was born.
What was it called?
Siete.
Siete.
Yeah, siete means 7 in Spanish. And 7's my lucky number.
All right.
And it sounds exotic. 6 is, you put me on the spot. I can't remember. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 6, then 7. Yeah, 6.
Okay, great.
6. Yeah, we got there in the end. Don't quote me on my Spanish. I'm not very good. So that was my business. So I created all of the designs. I built a website. I found all the factories overseas. I sourced all the clothing, dealt with all the logistics. And then I remember when I got all my stock and I hit publish on my website and I'm like, cool, all right, let's wait for the money to roll in. And I was getting no hits.
That was you?
Yeah. And I'm like, when
was this?
So I started Siete Clothing Go in 2012. So.
And you just thought it would start?
Yeah. I just thought it goes on the internet and then.
Where on the internet?
Exactly. It goes into the World Wide Web. Well, I built an e-commerce website and I didn't understand.
So it wasn't even connected to another store or? No,
it was mine. So I didn't understand how it all worked, how to get traffic. And I'm like, okay, well, there's no hits on my website.
Sorry. I'm just having real trouble connecting that with the Jackson that I know.
Yeah.
And how old were you?
I was 21.
And you had been in business before or you hadn't?
No, that was my first business.
So prior to this, you'd worked in other people's businesses.
Correct.
Where clients just walked in the door and you serviced them.
In fact, at the time I was working for a Big 4 bank.
Yeah.
And the reason why I set up this business was not only because I met this guy, but I went through my first corporate restructure.
Yeah.
And I kept my job, but I had a 20% pay cut.
Oh.
And my dad had just been diagnosed with cancer and I had the mortgage and all of the responsibilities. So my brilliant idea was, let's go start a business that I have no experience doing. And just thought that it would just work, right? Yeah. So, and this is the common perspective for most business owners. They just think, I'm just going to put stuff online. I'm going to set up a social media and I'm going to do some posts and then people are going to see it and I'm going to get clients. And that was when I realized that didn't happen and there was just tumbleweeds. I go, wow, okay, well, I've got to learn something about this. And this is the big issue for business owners around marketing. No one has, once again, taught them about marketing. and they don't understand the philosophies and principles of what true marketing is. They mistake tactics as marketing strategy and principles.
Clarify that.
So, in my experience, most business owners think that marketing is doing some random posts on social media and then hiring an SEO agency that helps boost your rankings on Google. That's
so they
what
do
they think marketing
things
is.
that they have seen others do.
Correct.
Others who are successful are doing them as part of a strategic plan.
Correct.
But they don't see that strategy. All they see is the this and the that, the things that they have perhaps been aware of because they're clients or they're potential buyers or something.
Like they learn through osmosis. Like they say, oh, that business owner's doing it, or like they got a cold call of somebody selling SEO or Google Ads or something like that, and they go, oh, okay, I'll give that a go. And the underlying principle of this is that most business owners, their marketing function is a gamble. It's like, I'm going to try this and see how it goes. And I was guilty of it too.
But isn't there some degree of that in every?
Well, sure. There certainly is. And there's gambling, but there's gambling. And the idea is marketing is always going to have an element of risk. Everything's going to have risk. But the goal here is to have an asymmetrical risk versus return.
Yes.
And what we help our clients do is help them create what we call a profitable marketing machine that allows them to produce predictable and scalable results that actually make them more money than they invest.
So when did that happen for you with Sieto?
Well, it didn't. Interestingly, I got burnt really badly.
Okay.
So I pursued really two marketing strategies with my Siete Clothing Co. business. The first was brand and public relations. So through just hustling, I managed to get some notable features in GQ and a couple of other magazines. And how we did that is I met this stylist, and she used to style famous DJs and lots of other famous people for these really amazing photo shoots. And I would provide the clothes free of charge. And then because I was providing the clothes, there would always be like a caption, and then I could use that for my own publicity, right? So that was really helpful. And
so
we
free
got
photos, and you could say it was in GQ.
Exactly. Yeah. Or like so-and-so wore my clothing, and like it was a great strategy, but it was really lumpy because like these things were few and far between, and it's like a flash in the pan. You're in one version of GQ on one little quarter panel of a page. So people make an initial decision, but like then they're on to the next page, you know? So it was very unsustainable. So I realized I needed to come up with a more sustainable strategy. So I joined this mastermind program, and in this mastermind program, they brought all of these various business experts to come and present. And there was this marketing guy who got on stage. It was super charismatic and kind of explained this whole marketing strategy. And I'm like, wow, this all makes so much sense. And then had a call to action. So I reached out to these people. And then they quoted me a multi-5-figure sum to set it all up. And I'm like, fuck, this is a big investment. But what other choice have I got? And then we jumped on it and it fell flat. So they set up a landing page, they run paid ads, and their whole thing was running ads to people who were men, because they're like, men don't search for clothes online. So we need to try and game finding men to buy clothes. So their brilliant idea was to do their whole strategy of running ads to people who are searching for how to measure themselves for clothes. And I'm like, okay, that sounds all right. But the thing about marketing was one strategy, right? And it flopped.
Yeah.
So it left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
So then all of my other businesses...
Did you think marketing's shit?
I did. I'm like, paid ads don't work for me, and this is shit, and it doesn't work. And so then my whole philosophy was on two things. Word of mouth, of getting referrals from my clients. I'm like, okay, if I'm exceptional at what I do and I do a really good job, then my clients are going to refer me family and friends. And the second thing was strategic partners. How do I find other people who've got the clients that I want, and then how do we refer to each other? And interestingly, that's what most business owners use to grow their business, right? Yeah. And they work, but they're not scalable. No. Those things get you to 7 figures, but they don't get you to 8. No. And what often happens is for both of those things, they are unreliable because you can't control them. No. And they aren't scalable because it requires you to actively be involved to produce those results. So what we found is like over the years, I grew my business through word of mouth and through referral partnerships, but then we'd always hit a plateau. And so then I went looking for answers. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to give this paid ads thing a go again. And I engaged another agency. This was for our current business, Aureus. And we were already doing about $5 million a year at this point. And we'd engaged this agency and we were spending like $10,000 a month for like 6 or 7 months and just nothing. And I'm like, this is fallen flat again. So I come to the realization, I'm talking to my clients about not abdicating responsibility around money. And I'm trying to abdicate responsibility around my marketing.
Yeah.
Why isn't this working? Because this marketing agency doesn't understand my market as well as I ever will. So how can I expect them to market me as good as I ever will? So is it easier for me to teach them my market and all of the...
And are they interested? Or do they already think
not.
they know?
They already think they know. Or is it easier for me to learn the marketing skills that I can apply to my market? So then I just went headfirst into mastering these skills and learning it. I'm like, I'm going to fall in love with this and I'm going to understand it and I'm going to apply it. So I did. And surprise, surprise, I developed a system. So what I realized is that marketing broadly is about how do you persuade people to make the best decision on their life's menu at a particular point in time. Because we're not there to persuade people against their will, right? That's not ethical, right? Our job is to allow them to evaluate the options on the menu and make the best choice for them, which just happens to be us. Because for some people who are doing that evaluation, we aren't the best choice.
And you don't want them.
You don't want those people.
No.
Exactly. So it's about how do you distill that? Well, how do you do that? What you got to realize is that businesses exist on a spectrum of awareness. So your customers are on a journey of discovery. They're problem unaware. They've got no idea they've got a problem, right? They're problem aware. They've got a problem, but they don't know what to do about it. They're solution aware. They understand how to start solving that problem. They're product aware. They've started evaluating options to solve that problem. And then they're most aware. They're now at a point in which they can make a decision.
Yep.
So our job as marketers is to provide enough information and value to support them going through each of those phases and wherever possible, speed up that journey.
Yep.
Because the faster we can get people through that of their own volition and the more value we can add along the way, the more goodwill we create. So the analogy that I like to use that I discovered is with a fundamental pillar of our marketing system, which is called the Bank of Goodwill. So our job as marketers, as ethical marketers, is to add so much value to our prospective clients and to create such a big bank of goodwill that they would feel almost guilty not doing business with us. And that they may not do business today. They might not even do business in 6 months, but they've already come to the realization that they're going to do business with you one day. And that's the goal.
So that's like the law of reciprocity.
Correct.
Yep.
Bang on.
Yep.
And interestingly, I discovered this when I went to my first trip to Thailand. So I went to Thailand with my girlfriend at the time. I wanted to get some tailor-made suits. So the concierge knew a guy, asked him, and he's like, let me take you. Arranged a tuk-tuk, took us there. And they sat us down inside and they doted on us. They gave us champagne and sparkling wine and brought food to us. And before they'd shown us anything or we'd looked at any prices. And we felt like kings.
Yeah.
And we was like, this is amazing. And when they started bringing out fabrics, it was like cashmere, English cashmere, and all of these, like Egyptian cotton. And then I'm just like, oh shit, this is going to be expensive.
Yeah.
But because they've added so much value, I felt obligated to buy from them. And not in a weird way. Like I didn't feel like I'd been taken advantage of.
No, you wanted to because
I wanted to.
you had received goodwill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I never forgot that. And that was the principle that I applied to this system. So the big issue for most business owners when they're implementing marketing is that they are trying to fuck on the first day.
Can I just go back one step and ask a question? What if in that tailor shop, they really didn't have anything you wanted?
Sure.
How would that affect that relationship?
I would have had no issue in saying no. it's just like the goodwill created in the absence of value is like, it would be silly for me to go ahead.
Yeah.
Right? But if they had what I wanted, but there was no goodwill, I would have had no issue saying no.
Yes, I understand that.
And in fact, it's just a transaction because there's no skin in the game, right? So this is the underlying issue. The business owners are just asking for the business and there's no relationship or goodwill.
Yeah, yeah.
And why? Is because they've spent their entire business career relying on people who already have goodwill that they've taken for granted. Because referrals come with a transfer of trust.
Of goodwill, yeah, absolutely.
And strategic partners, there's already a transfer of trust because those people are being recommended, right? But when we're starting to market to complete and utter strangers, there must be a process of creating goodwill.
Yep.
And it's like, how do we, the analogy, my business partner who heads up our marketing division, Brett, he says like, if I go up to a girl in a bar and I ask her out on a date and Brad Pitt goes up to her and asks her on a date, who's going to have more success? Brad, right? And like, it may not be that Brad's more handsome or whatever, but there's goodwill.
He has prior goodwill
He's
and
got,
rapport.
exactly.
And,
there's that recognition. It's like, oh my God, it's Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that there's a law around this, a marketing law. And when people are consuming your content and your information, they're actually developing a relationship with you and they start to perceive you as a friend.
Yes.
So interestingly, like for most people that are watching this, you've probably seen a lot of my content and I've had people come up to me in the street and they know more about me than like my family and friends.
Yeah.
Right? Like, oh, how's Anna's doing and how's the sanctuary and how's this and how's that? And like, it's fine. Like I enjoy it.
Yeah.
But then sometimes they like call themselves out and like, oh, like, am I being weird? Like, I actually don't know you, but because I've seen so much of your content, like
Well, the thing is, they do know you.
They do.
You don't know them.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so this is what we're trying to create. And a marketing strategy that does not have that, it can work.
Yeah.
But we are marketing to people who are in the buying zone, the 1% to 3% of people who are actively buying right now, and they're usually making a decision based on price.
So I would argue actually a little bit the other way. You do know them because they will stay in the store drinking your Coke and champagne and whatever. When I did it, they only gave me Coke. Gold. Obviously didn't bring my gold handbag.
Exactly.
You will stay in the store to look at the stuff if they serve you the things that you like.
Correct.
If they had said, would you like some eyeball soup?
Yes.
You would have been out of there
100%.
and not buying.
Correct.
So I challenge this that they don't know you, that the marketer doesn't know the client. I think in order to market properly, you have to know the client.
Certainly.
And that gets reinforced because if you deliver your value that is valuable to them,
Correct.
then they stay.
Correct.
And if you deliver something that's not to their taste, why did I say eyeball soup? My goodness.
It's to somebody's taste, I'm sure.
Not to their taste, then they're not who you're looking for and they select themselves out.
Correct. And that's the point.
Yeah.
This is one of the fundamental issues that business owners make, is they don't decide on their market. They try and market to everyone.
Yeah.
And once again, that's reinforced because of the way that they've done business before. One of the issues of relying on referrals and word of mouth is that you can't necessarily control who they refer to you.
No.
So like you might have a client who's a business owner, but they refer their auntie who's a nurse. And then they refer their dog trainer, right? And then they refer their next door neighbour, right? And it's almost like beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, yeah.
So what that now means is you've got this business of all of these different personas and niches of clients, and now it makes it very difficult for you to decide because in your head you're like, well, if I choose a niche, I'm going to ostracize my existing people. Yeah. And we felt this too, right?
Yeah.
So
it reminds me of that first business you were in where you said take the bottom 30% and sell them. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's an option for some businesses. But like we felt this as well. So when we first started Aureus, we were business owners and professionals.
Yeah.
Right? That basically means everyone. But we also had retirees and we did aged care stuff and then our clients referred in their kids. So it ended up being everyone. So then our first step to niching was business owners.
Yes.
And that was a big move. But what we said is we're going to draw a line in the sand. We're going to keep all of our existing clients, but this is just for new clients.
Yeah.
And then we went to 6 and 7 figure business owners.
Yes.
And then we realized, well, there's a big difference between a 6-figure business owner and a 7-figure business owner in terms of what they need. And then now, the next thing we went into is we did 6 and 7 figure service businesses.
Yes.
Because we're like, look, we don't want to deal with product-based businesses and the complexities of supply chain and all those things. Once again, they're fundamentally different. And then now we're 7-figure plus business owners.
Service businesses.
Yeah, 7-figure plus service businesses. So the interesting thing we found is that the more specific we were, the easier it was to market.
Yeah.
Because we could speak to those people's pain points specifically.
Yeah.
And it repelled everyone else. And interestingly, we also found that even though there's people who are outside of our market, they still want to work with us. So we have a scorecard that we use as our primary mechanism for people coming into our business. They answer 30 questions. It assesses their business, their profit, their tax, their wealth. Our team uses that to evaluate how much we can help them and if we can help them. And a couple of times a week, there's people who fill it in, lie on all of the questions, and say, hey, I'm an employee and I'm just trying to sneak in because I really want to work with you guys. Can you help me? And we're usually like, sorry, we can't. Like this, we've got a specific market for a reason, but hey, wish you all the best.
And they admit that on the form.
Actually, there's nowhere for them to put it on the form, but they admit on the phone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because they feel, I feel really guilty. But I still get this all of the time. So the common belief for most business owners is if I niche, I am going to turn away people that I could help. And that's a bad thing.
Yeah, because they're looking at what they'll lose.
Correct.
Not what they have in their hands.
Exactly. And it's when we have this abundance mentality and we focus on serving a specific market that it actually has a counterintuitive effect, that it's easier. And that's the first decision we need to make.
What about the idea that you shouldn't market to people just like you? So, you know, Harley Davidson, their whole marketing strategy was built on the fact that they rode hogs.
Sure.
But then there are people who say, no, that's not a good way to go. You need a very different market so you can be objective.
I'm uniquely qualified to talk about Harley Davidson because I'm a big Harley Davidson fan and I built vintage Harleys for many years.
Okay.
So my oldest Harley was a 1942 Harley Davidson Cervicar. So I love Harley Davidsons, and us Harley Davidson folks are a very particular type of folks. And here's the thing, Harley Davidson, when they were bought by Ducati, fundamentally destroyed their market by diluting their positioning. Yeah. They went from making phenomenal bikes for die-hard fans to creating these PC entry-level bikes that were for everyone. Like the biggest mistake they made, and interestingly, when I was young, I was asked to do a focus group, market research focus group for a new bike that Harley was looking to create that was called the Street 500. Because all Harleys were on your full license. So if you were a provisional or a learner license, you couldn't ride a Harley. No. Harley goes, oh, that's a tremendous opportunity because we want to capture new riders, so their first bike is a Harley, and then that means that all of their bikes from then on will be Harleys.
Which is not...
It's not a bad idea.
Well, I don't know that the idea is any good, but it's the supposition that once they commit to a brand, they're there. Correct. I mean, that's how Apple exists.
Exactly. Yeah. But we all, everyone in this focus group are like, this is a horrible idea. Like, you want a Harley Davidson to be something that you aspire to. Yeah. Because it's a midlife crisis thing, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, I've taken a few punches. I deserve to buy a Harley for myself, you know what I mean? So,
and actually, you don't want to pull up the lights and see a kid.
Exactly. It destroyed...
If they're not old enough to grow a grey beard, why are they riding?
That was the point. It went from being cool, of being the rebel, the outsider, to being a cliche. Yeah. And so this is the problem, right? You must understand who you are. So interestingly, like everyone asks me, Jackson, like, why do you have the courage to like dress the way that you do and present the way you do? Because this is me. Yeah. Like I'm wearing Crocs.
I wasn't going to admit that. First thing I did when I came in was then, oh yeah, he is still wearing Crocs.
So it is so much easier to be authentic in your marketing than to play a persona. Oh, totally. Right? Yeah. And that is the issue, that the vast majority of people are playing pretend in their marketing, which means it's not sustainable because it's exhausting.
It's It's also not exactly honest, is it?
It's not.
No.
It's so disingenuous. It's interesting. I had a fight with this this property advisor the other day on my social media because he had a crack at me on one of my videos about you can't trust anyone who wears Crocs. And so I went onto his page and then I looked and I go, yeah, coming from the guy who buys his suits from Lowe's. And he got the shits. And he's like, oh, I was just joking, like you're attacking me. And I go, like, don't dish it out if you can't take it, right?
Yeah.
And
you can't trust is not a joke.
Exactly. And then he had this whole narrative, like just trying to undermine my position. And I basically recorded a video about it. And I said, well, hey, like on camera, I dress this way. And off camera, I dress this way. And on the weekend, I dress this way. You wholeheartedly can tell me that you wear a 3-piece suit every waking moment of every day. And if you do, power to you. Like I've got friends, a very good friend of mine who all he wears is suits and he loves it.
Yeah.
Amazing, super authentic. But I guarantee that that guy is rolling around in like a shirt with holes in it and some like shorts and thongs on the weekend, right?
Yeah.
Which means that he's playing a character in his professional life that is different to who he is as a person. That's disingenuous, right? So from my perspective, and like this is part of my whole marketing strategy, I guarantee that when people see me on camera, they judge me immediately.
Yeah.
They're like, who the fuck is this guy? And then if they actually take a moment to listen to what I have to say, they go, wow, this guy's actually talking sense. And what's interesting is the contrast between their initial observation and then the realization that they come to is what they remember. And the people who just judge me on face value and don't listen to what I have to say, they filter themselves out anyway.
You don't want them.
So it works.
I think there's also, in our world, in business today and in marketing, there is a very high percentage of liars. If you just, you even look at our marketing about food or marketing about government or, anything, the number of people that are honest is low.
Yes.
And you show it in your dress, but it also is all the way through to you only teach that which you know.
Yes.
Whereas in this field, there are so many people who teach what they don't know.
No.
And I would say, I shouldn't say this, the accountants that we've been talking about in the other episodes are very much like that.
Yeah.
I bet they don't follow, well, probably they do follow their own strategies, but, I think authenticity in marketing is not understood as a tool.
Because it's not sexy.
No, but it is.
It is when you strip it down, but it's not the norm of what's sexy. So there's a concept that's called marketing heuristics.
Yeah.
So these are basically like marketing strategies, marketing hooks, marketing tactics.
So what does the word heuristics mean?
I don't know exactly.
Okay.
But the idea is it's a marketing tactic that is used to play on human psychology.
Okay.
Right? Because what's been interesting, like throughout my entire career, I call a spade a spade.
Yep.
I'm not going to put lipstick on a pig, right? I'm not going to spice things up. And like you see a lot of these marketing heuristics that people use that are taking an old concept and like spicing and jazzing it up to be something that it's not, as if it's new or a secret, or like they use all of this language that convolutes the core essence of what it is.
Because novelty sells.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, right? Yeah. They don't have the patience to just call it what it is, and they need excitement in order to influence people to make a decision.
Well, to influence people to make the decision they want.
Correct. Exactly. And it's innately selfish, right? Like it's only to pursue their own selfish endeavor. And unfortunately, the vast majority of marketing is that way. And so there's a balance, right? There are principles that we can use in marketing that can be persuasive, because we don't want to be boring. Because like if it's boring and it's dull, it's going to fall on deaf ears.
I would actually expand that and say, if it's boring, it's not about the issue the person has.
once again, boring, subjective, because we're in this world that everyone's been conditioned for immediate gratification, right? Like, so like where people used to give you attention, now because of social media, you've got a second to hold their attention. So you need to be cognizant of that, right? Because it's certainly an external force that we've got to consider,
Take into account.
right? But you can't disguise the true message of what you're trying to do. So like, I've never been prepared to dilute my values and like sell something that doesn't exist, right? It's a short game.
Yeah.
So I've always played the long game.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, like for over the years, I've had a lot of friends who've had very, very big businesses, have been phenomenal marketers, and have in some cases blurred the lines of that, and have either pursued business opportunities that were sexy, and it's because they're topical in nature and they're hot in nature, or they've created a narrative to make things seem better than what they really are, right? And they've cashed in on it.
Look, I think there doesn't have to be evil intent behind it,
No.
because it's the norm.
Sure.
I think to stand up and say, no, I'm only going to be authentic, I think
Yes.
that takes courage.
Yeah.
But I want to think that is what makes things successful.
And look, I think so too. It takes longer for that to happen because, once again, you've got to build a bigger Bank of Goodwill, right?
Yeah.
And like, what's interesting, we did a survey on this across our client base. On average, it takes our prospects 150 days to go from opting in to becoming a client.
Wow.
So basically half a year.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
But it's a big product.
It is.
Yeah.
So, and we don't rush people. Like our whole thing is about attraction marketing, right? That we want to do things that attract people to go, this is a good idea and this is what I need. So when we think about the fundamentals of marketing, I try and answer 3 questions, and every business owner should be considering this in their marketing strategy. Put yourself in your client's shoes and answer the question, do I trust them? Right? Do I trust their process? And do I trust myself inside their process? So the first one is, do I trust them? Like, do they see you as one of them?
Yeah. Have you built rapport?
Exactly. So like, for example, barristers who wear 3-piece suits and drive a Maserati are never going to be my clients.
Yeah.
They're fucking douchebags. We wouldn't get along. I'm not interested in working with people like that.
Yeah.
Our clients are salt of the earth people. They run trade businesses. And interestingly enough, they run businesses of all different industries, even health businesses. I've got doctors and specialists as clients, but they're the most lovely people.
Yeah.
Right?
That's what I built my business on.
Yeah, and like, we've got values alignment. We see the world the same way. We do similar things. We believe in animal welfare. We believe in lifestyle.
Health instinct.
Yeah, all right. So we see the world the same way, right? So that's the first question. Do I trust them? Second one, do I trust their process?
So for that, they have to know what the process is.
Correct. Yeah. So it's like how, and this is a big issue for business owners, particularly subject matter experts, is that they take their process for granted. Or they haven't created a visual model that demonstrates their proven process.
Yeah.
Because what we've got to realize is our prospects are painting a picture in their head of what your process is.
Yeah.
And the picture's probably wrong.
Yeah.
Because what inevitably happens, and we've all experienced this, is that you get a client and at the end of the process they go, wow, that was amazing. I couldn't have ever imagined that you would do all of these things.
Yes.
Which means that they had to take a leap of faith.
Yes.
That means that you didn't paint that picture for them in advance,
Yes.
right? So I'm a big believer in visual models. How do we demonstrate the process? So show them, okay, these are the steps that we take. Here's a case study. Here is how we've taken this person through these steps.
Yeah.
Here's a before and after,
Yeah.
right? So that helps them paint the picture. And then thirdly, do they trust themselves inside your process? Once again, the case studies can do that too. But it's like, okay, well, what's the right time? When should you do these decisions? Like, what's it cost? All of these other factors, because the person needs to be the right place and the right time for them.
Yeah.
And there's also a part, depending on what you're selling, is that they need to see that the results are things that people like them deserve. So what's interesting is, like, in times where we talk about like high net worth, we're like, okay, like, do you want to build $10 million in wealth? For some clients, they go, yeah, that sounds amazing. For other people, like, oh, people like me can't build wealth like that. So it's about understanding what is the limit of their own belief systems? Because if you go beyond or below their belief system, then they're not going to make a decision to work with you.
No. Do you find that this deserve question is around a lot?
Depends on the market.
Yeah, okay.
And
in your market?
Or since we've dialed in our niche to serving 7 figures and above, a lot of our clients have got beyond that point, right? They've got enough proof in the world for them to know that they have got something that's successful, that they deserve it. And there was an interesting video I saw the other day that said, like, if you're dealing with a lower end of the market and you're charging somebody $2,000 and they've only got $4,000 in the bank, that's a tremendous amount of money for them,
it's
right?
A lot of trust.
Exactly. So they're going to expect everything from you.
Yes.
Whereas when you're dealing with more affluent people, it's less of a significant decision. So therefore,
the risk is low.
The risk is low, right? And also, affluent people know that the most valuable commodity they've got is their time. So they're happy to pay for things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it really depends on your market. But it's
how
important
does
to be
this
cognizant.
apply to someone who's, say, selling T-shirts online or fashion online?
Well, there's 2 ways you go about it, right? And there's a spectrum here, a spectrum of positioning.
Yeah.
All businesses exist on a spectrum of positioning of either a commodity, so they're bought purely on price. So for example, if it's just a basic white T-shirt that is indistinguishable from the other, if one is $5 and the other's $10, you're always going to buy the $5 one, right? Then we've got utility, right? So the next step up from that is, okay, well, we've got an organic cotton that's got a high thread count and it's acid washed, so it's really soft, right? It has features and benefits that justify a higher price, right? So utilities are bought based on value. And then on the other end of the spectrum is luxury. That people will pay irrational things for something they perceive as a luxury because of how it makes them feel. And it's usually a connection to community, right? So it could be even that same white T-shirt, but you put a brand label on it, like Louis Vuitton, and people pay $500 for it, even though the raw cost was $5, right? Sure, it would still have quality, right? But in saying that,
it should have.
It's not presupposed, right?
No.
Interesting, there's an example. For many years, like when I used to wear suits, and I was one of those douchebags driving an AMG Mercedes.
Photos.
So one of the things that I always put on a pedestal was owning a Mont Blanc wallet, right? So I'm like, I want to have a Mont Blanc wallet because it's basically the highest of the upper echelon, right? So I was going overseas, and as you do in duty free, went into the Mont Blanc shop, and then I bought this Mont Blanc wallet, which I think was about $1,500. And in my mind, I'm like, well, okay, like a usual wallet you buy is what, $100 or $50, whatever it might be. You get a leather wallet, but after a year, it's like all of the leather is deteriorated from folding it open and whatnot. So like, okay, it might last me a year. If I buy this Mont Blanc wallet, it's going to last me 10. So like the economics work out anyway. And plus I've got this amazing thing. It still lasted a year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like the utility was exactly the same. The only thing was the luxury of the brand.
The brand.
So it's the idea for us when we work with clients is like, how do we increase your positioning to be between utility and luxury?
Yeah.
Right? Because when you're in that point, you can always control price and you will always have a market. Because as soon as you go towards commodity, you're always going to be bought on price and it's a race to the bottom. There's always a bigger player who can afford to charge less than what you do and they'll just squeeze you out. Exactly.
All right. Sounds good. Wow. So what is a business without marketing?
It's not really a business. So as a business owner, there are 4 departments that you need to build if you want to have a truly scalable and saleable business, or even just a business that you can put under management and can run without you. You need a marketing department, you need a sales department, you need a delivery department, and you need a growth department. And by growth, that's your finance function and your leadership and operations department.
Can I ask you, why do we have marketing and sales separately?
Yes. So what we've got to think about is I look at it as a quadrant, okay?
Yep.
So the marketing quadrant is about generating leads.
Yep.
And we generate leads for sales.
Yep.
Sales department's job is to take those leads and turn them into paying clients. Then They hand those sales over to delivery, and delivery's job is to deliver on the promise and turn those clients into raving fans. And the growth department is to ensure that they do all of those things profitably and either distribute profit to shareholders or reinvest back into marketing. So the first department we need to build is marketing, because marketing is the top of the funnel that fuels the rest of the machine. So the idea is, how do we create a marketing machine that allows us to consistently and repeatedly produce enough leads to fuel the other three?
Beautiful. All right. Marketing a business as a topic is enormous. And the question that comes to me next is, what are some examples of bad marketing? How do people learn ahead of time to say no to bad marketing idea, which is just a waste of money and doesn't bring in leads?
So this is going to be a little bit controversial.
Yeah.
There is no such thing as bad marketing.
Okay.
There is only such thing as untested and tested marketing. And even in saying that, a test of marketing today that fails does not mean that it will always fail. Because external factors are always going to influence the success and viability of that particular marketing strategy. So the biggest failure of business owners is not making an ongoing, non-negotiable commitment to always marketing.
Right.
Because what often happens is they're like, I'm going to try marketing. They do it for 3 or 6 months and then they stop marketing. Because marketing, it's a scientific process. It is about testing and iterating until you find something that works. And there's actually 3 phases that we take our clients through when we're looking to scale marketing. The first phase is ideation and testing phase. And our goal is to spend as much money as possible in order to get one conversion, whatever it costs us. So let's say and there's a couple of numbers that business owners need to know that allows them to facilitate this test, which we'll talk about shortly. But let's say, for argument's sake, that your customer in your business is worth $10,000. The first question we need to ask is, how much are you prepared to spend to acquire that customer? So let's say it's $1,000, okay? And the goal should always be, and this is another mindset thing, much like tax, that we take our clients from trying to spend the least amount possible on marketing to the person who wins is the one that can afford to spend the most to acquire a customer, right? But let's assume it's $1,000. Now, in that first phase, it might cost us $4,000 to acquire a customer. But now we have a baseline. So phase 1 is that testing and ideation. Let's try strategies and angles until we get a conversion. It might be 4 times more expensive than what we want, but then that allows us to go into phase 2, which is optimization. So once we have a conversion, we can then say, okay, what were the metrics of all of the various parts of the marketing strategy that we can optimize, that we can go and start pulling some levers?
Conversion is a lead or a sale?
Has to be a sale.
So it's actually the marketing and sales department.
Correct.
Okay.
Exactly, because that's another mistake. Business owners try and optimize for cost per lead. It doesn't matter.
No.
Right? Because we haven't actually turned it into a customer yet, and that's all that matters.
It's not of value yet.
It's not of value yet. So the goal is, if we have to spend $4,000 to acquire a customer, then we can go into optimization and we can start pulling levers, which one of them might be, okay, how do I reduce my cost per lead? How do I increase my lead to sales meeting percentage? How do I increase my sales meeting to close percentage? How do I increase my price, my average value of a customer? There's all of these levers that we can pull. And then once we get an optimal strategy, so let's say we get it down to $1,500 from $4,000, then we can start scaling it. And then, of course, we continue to optimize.
If your customer's worth $10,000, you'll spend $1,500 to get that as many times as you can afford.
100%. So like in my business, my target cost per acquisition is $4,000. And most people look at me and go, that's fucking ridiculous. It's $4,000. But a customer in their first transaction is worth a minimum of $26,000 to me. Our clients usually stay with us for 50 months, which now means that they're worth $60,000 or $70,000 to me. So when you put it into context, when you can spend $4,000 to acquire a customer that's worth $70,000 or $80,000, you do that all day.
You do it every day of the week.
And this is the issue, that we need to go from guessing to science. And this is where most business owners go wrong, right? It's not a matter of if it will work, it is if it works for you now, and what are the other things that we can do that could work better.
So what do we need to know about our current environment in the market.
Yes.
I have to admit that I think of marketing very physically. I imagine going to a marketplace
Sure.
where there are a number of little stalls.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah. And, you know, if it's sunny,
Yes.
then selling ice creams is good.
Sure.
If it's raining, selling umbrellas is good,
Sure.
etc. So how does the environment, and I'm not talking rain
Sure.
and shine, but the buying environment, how does that
It's a great
factor in?
example, right? So my first thing is that every business should have a golden goose, which is what can you sell if it's raining or shining,
Okay.
right? So it might be popcorn, right?
Yep.
You're going to eat popcorn whether it's raining or whether it's hot, okay? Or it could be water,
Yep.
right? Bottles of water, whatever it might be. Every business needs to define their golden goose that they can sell evergreen all of the time.
Okay.
And that could be supported with other things that are tactical in nature or seasonal in nature that you can take advantage of whatever the conditions are, right? So the reason why we need a golden goose is we need to have something that's compelling for people to want to opt in for, okay? So to give you an example, we had a client who runs a shed business. And the issue with a lot of build sheds, right? And the issue is that it's so hard to distinguish the difference between one shed builder and another because their end product largely looks the same, right? They take you onto a website, you've got a custom builder that you can configure stuff that's super overwhelming, but they all look the same in the end, right? So your decision is always made on price. So what we did is when he started working with us, his goal was to get to $1 million a year in his business. He had no business, like no leads, nothing. He was like unsustainable. He's like, I need to get something to work. So we created the Golden Goose offer, and it was a really cheap shed for what it was, which was the Trojan horse to get a foot in the door.
Cheap as in it was worth more than they were charging for it?
Yeah,
it
seemed like an absolute no-brainer,
Okay,
right?
yep.
So when people looked at it, they go, wow, that's really great value. I'm going to find out more. Now, we didn't do a bait and switch because there are a lot of people out there that say, oh yeah, get this shed for 10 grand, but then they go, oh no, but then there's this and this and this, and it just leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. So this was a product that people could actually buy. Yeah. But what it then enabled him to do is to have a values-based conversation with them and say, hey Tash, okay, well, let's talk about the space. Like, do you need an extra bay? Do you need a partition in the middle? Do you want automatic doors? Do you want some windows? Do you want to have an access door, right? All of these other things. Do you want cyclone rating, all of these things, which obviously then add more to the price, which then gets him closer to his ideal client value. So the Golden Goose was just to get a foot in the door, and the sales process was designed to get the...
If he sold the Golden Goose, would he make money?
Yeah, it was still fine. Like it would break even.
And did
right?
he sell many of those?
Not really.
No, because everybody actually wanted something a little
Correct.
better than that.
Exactly. It just opened the door.
Yeah.
So that's a great example. If we have a Golden Goose that is a no-brainer for people, that motivates them to take action, because on the flip side of things, if he advertised the most expensive shed, like said, it's going to be $250,000. Sure, there might be some people who are really affluent that want that, but unless they've gone through the conversation, no one's going to be running to buy that. You know what I mean?
And no one goes, I want to buy a shed and spend a lot of money.
Exactly.
Because it's a shed.
100%. Exactly. So that was how we got that to work.
Okay.
So I think that's the important thing for people. You need to have a compelling offer that is a no-brainer for people, or if you can't come up with that, you need to have assets that you're using to give away that allow them to progress through. So for us, we don't advertise our products. We don't say, hey, come buy our Golden Goose coaching program or advisory program. Our primary mechanism is a scorecard.
Yeah.
And why that works is because it's a diagnostic that plays on people's curiosity. It's like, hey, do you want to know how well you're doing? Or, hey, do you want to see where are the biggest opportunities for you to improve across these areas?
Something that's valuable to them.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's that gives them the insight, and then that allows us to then have the conversation. So it's about understanding what's the Golden Goose for you. Is it the product, or is it the assessment, or is it some other type of asset that you provide them that gives value? And then it speeds up the conversation.
So, but markets change.
Sure.
And how do you keep your pulse on what the market is doing? How does a business owner sitting at the top of the business,
Yes.
who's not involved in everyday sales,
Yes.
how do they know when the market is changing?
It's really interesting. This is where I see business owners do the most damage with their marketing, is that they shift marketing offers that were working and replace them for ones that don't.
Oh,
because they're trying to keep pace of the market. And interestingly, we've been running our scorecard for 8 years now, and it fundamentally has not changed. Now, what we can change is the narrative and the messaging around it, right? So how we funnel people to it, but the scorecard itself has not changed.
Has the market changed?
Certainly. The idea is to build something that adds value irrespective of the market, and that is based on the pains.
Sounds like a golden goose to me.
It is, the thing is, like, people's pains and aspirations really don't change.
Right.
Like, tell me about any conversation you've had with anybody, and if you really boil it down to the essence of what their pains are and their aspirations, have they changed?
No.
No, they don't. What changes is the semantics. And that's part of the marketing process. And we can use some of those semantics in like market conditions or current events as anchors or hooks, but the message itself,
dressing.
Yeah, it's window dressing.
Wow. Okay. So what numbers should people keep track of to be on top of their marketing?
Yeah, so there's a few. The first one you need to work out is your average order value. So how much does a customer spend with you in the first transaction? So if you run a transactional style business, let's say you're an electrician, what is an average job worth? Okay. The second thing you need to work out is the lifetime value, which sounds daunting. So use 12 months. So it's like, okay, for that same customer, on average, how many times do they buy from you in a 12-month period of time? So then that allows us to work out the lifetime value. And then we need to work out our target cost per acquisition.
Yep.
In an ideal world, we want our target cost per acquisition to be about a quarter of our average order value, or a quarter of our lifetime value if we know our numbers really well. So, for example, for me, my $4,000 cost per acquisition, and for a customer value for in the average order value of $26,000 is a 6 times return, right? So it makes heaps of sense.
So do you follow these? Do you watch these statistics every month, every quarter,
every day?
Every day.
Yes, in my business, right? For business owners, you should look at it every day, and we need to create a scorecard that we track at least weekly, so then we know what we're measuring against.
So do these things change every day?
Certainly, yeah. So, for example, for one of my businesses, the cost per acquisition has dropped to $1,800, which now means that I can afford to spend twice the amount of money to acquire the customer, right? So I basically doubled my marketing spend so I can double the amount of customers that I acquire. So this is a living, breathing thing that changes all of the time.
Yeah.
Because what we've got to realise is that marketing, when we boil it down, is an auction. Right. It's an auction for eyeballs.
Yeah.
So the amount that other participants are prepared to pay for those eyeballs shifts and changes. Like, for example, one of the strategies that we use is we market through the holiday period, through Christmas and New Year. Most people turn off their marketing. And so our cost of marketing drops so much, which gives us the ability to get more eyeballs. So there's things like this that will change, but the offer doesn't change. The funnel doesn't change. It's just the strategy that we use and how much we spend to facilitate that strategy. And this is what we bring to the table that a lot of marketing agencies just don't have, is that we are finance people before marketers. We're finance bros who've learnt how to market, whereas marketers very rarely learn finance. And marketers are all about the vanity metrics of generating leads.
I don't know that a lot of marketers know marketing. I don't. In my experience, they do what they've been taught,
Correct.
Not what they have found to have worked.
Correct. And it's interesting. A lot of marketers are terrible. They don't market their own business very well. And we've built a marketing agency off the back of what we've done to build a $25 million business. So the proof's in the pudding.
All right, sales.
Yes.
I know it wasn't in.
It's important.
Topic,
We've got to talk about it.
How do you choose good salespeople? How do you know when you need more? How do you know when to fire them?
Well, let's talk about this first. You could have the best marketing in the world, but if you can't sell for shit, your marketing is useless. And in many cases, most marketing is actually a sales problem, not a marketing problem.
Yes.
And what happens is that marketing blames sales for being shit salespeople, and the sales team blames marketing for generating shit leads. And it just becomes this perpetual cycle. So the epiphany that I had around this is that I built a sales team off mavericks. like unicorn salespeople. They were just natural killers,
Yep.
really good
Yep.
salespeople. And usually what they do is they're highly dominant people. They know how good they are. They think their shit doesn't stink. They do what they want. And they use a script that uses a lot of persuasive stuff, right? And the issue is you're walking on eggshells. And I fucking hate it. Like there's nothing worse than having these maverick salespeople in your business. It's just toxic. So I decided to cut all of those people. And like when I started to learn to sell, I had an issue where I was meeting this guy who was a partner at PwC. And I looked about 12 and he fucking ate me alive. Like just dismantled me. Just for no reason. Just because he was an obnoxious prick.
Yeah.
And I was an easy target. And after that meeting, I'm like, this is never going to happen to me again.
So you were doing sales.
Yeah, well, obviously there's a selling in everything, right? So I was a financial advisor and I was trying to sell him to be a client, right?
Okay, good.
So he gave me the time, but he ate me alive, right? And I was unprepared.
Yep.
But once again, it's the best lesson ever.
Good lesson. Yep.
So what I decided is I'm like, okay, I'm not a good salesperson. I need to develop a sales process that disguises my script because I don't want to have to memorize a script, but I want to turn it into collateral that I can hold a prospect's attention. I can use it as a prompt so I don't need to remember the script and they're not going to look at my baby face. So I created this discovery process, which was a series of slides. And then back in the day, I used to have it actually printed out. And it was basically the entire sales process on each of the page.
Yeah.
And there was activities that I'd take the client through and would fill in all of the gaps. And then by the end of it, they'd have this plan mapped out. And then I used that to get my sale. And it crushed. Like it just crushed. And I, for some reason, deviated away from it with this maverick sales team. And then I fired them all. And then I'm like, all right, we're going back to this collateral-based selling. Because the underlying philosophy is build a killer sales process that average people can run to produce killer results.
So you hire average people who are willing to do a proper script.
Correct.
And teach them how to do it and then let them loose.
And they've just got to follow the bouncing ball. Because it's very hard that I've got a piece of collateral in a meeting and I'm not going through it. You know what I mean? So now we're on Zoom.
So what's the conversion percentage you have now?
So our team closes it between 50 and 60%. So it's the combination of great marketing that only the right people are opting in and the sales process, it produces the result. And it's not pushy. Like there's no forced sale. It's just like, hey, do you want to move forward? And it's easy. And look, the great thing is I don't have average people. I've got phenomenal salespeople who are very values aligned, but they follow the sales process and they now produce exponential results. So the big thing is that most businesses just haven't built a sales process, right? And like an example of this is like, okay, you're a Sparky and you just deal with call outs, right? People are calling you because the lights are out or they want a light switch put in. Okay, well, you're an order taker. So your sales process is like, hey, cool, I'm going to put the lights back on. That's my number one priority. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through your home and I'm going to do a 30-point safety, security, and efficiency health check. And I'm going to work out why this happened. And I'm going to identify if there's any other gremlins that could rear their ugly head at the wrong time and have you with your lights out after hours and be inconvenienced again. How does that sound? And good news, I'm going to do that for free. So you go through into this check and then we sit down again and go, cool, all right, I've solved the issue. I've identified all these other things. Hey, just by the way, like how's your task lighting? Have you ever wondered about putting solar in? Or have you thought about this? Cool, all right, so we've now got the real issue you've got me for here today. Here's the other things that I've identified and here's your wish list. So there's a couple of options. I'm going to put together a platinum package for you to take care of all of it. And here's the price. Do you want me to take care of that today? And if you go ahead, I'll give you a 10% discount. Or if there's other things that you'd like me to put on a watch list, let's diarise it over the next 12 months. And then how about I call you in 3 months and I can come back and do the other things in bite-sized chunks if cash flow is an issue. Which option do you want? That's a sales process. Does it feel pushy?
Yeah.
Really? Why?
Because the person who rang just had one problem.
How are they to know that there wasn't other problems?
They're not. I think you've added great value.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the onus of choice is on who?
The buyer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and that's the biggest issue for business owners, is that they're making decisions based on what they would do. It's not your job.
No.
Your job is to ensure that there are no stones left unturned in terms of value that could be added to your customer.
Yeah.
It's your duty to do so.
It's an educational process.
Correct. Exactly. And the choice is on them, right? Because out of all of those things, let's say RCDs and are not up to scratch. Would they?
RCDs?
Exactly. How are they to know? Right?
What is it?
The safety switch box, right?
Yeah.
How are they to know?
They're not.
They're not. And the conversation, if you're already there, are there other things that they'd like for you to do? And if the answer to that is no, that's fine. No issue. I'll just do the light switch, right? But the problem is you don't have the guts to ask.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the guts to ask, create a process that holds you accountable and the customer accountable to having a value-based conversation.
Yeah. No, I love
Pretty
it.
simple.
I love it. When I answered, does it feel pushy? Yes.
Sure.
It's because the person didn't call you up and say, can you educate me on my electrical system?
And it's always a choice, right? And at the point of sale, and there's always an assumption, right?
Yeah.
But you could also say, and if this doesn't sit well with you, say, hey, Tash, I could just do the light switch, but I also have this 30-point safety, energy efficiency health check that I could do while I'm here. Are you happy for me to do that? There's no extra cost for you.
Yeah, it's
and then
fine.
it's a choice, right?
Again,
and,
process.
And the big thing here, and you've brought this up, is that this is mindset.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's people don't want to be perceived as icky salespeople.
Yeah.
And for many years, I'm like, I don't want to put myself out there and ask this just because they might feel like I'm being pushy. And I flipped that into the perspective that if I don't assert myself, that there is opportunities and value that is left on the table that person will never know exists if it wasn't for me.
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think it is. See, there's icky.
Yes.
Because you're doing something unethical.
Correct.
But there's also icky because you're stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
And educating or pointing out.
Sure.
Or being vulnerable to say, hey, I could also do this.
Yes.
And I think it's important that marketers or salespeople look at which side of icky are they looking
Of course.
at.
Exactly. It's all about intention, in my opinion. Like
Yes,
if your intention is good and you're there to add value,
Yeah.
then that's fine. But if you're just there to squeeze people for every last drop, then that's not okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Let's go for it.
Okay. Pick one.
Let's go this one.
Oh, you got question number 3.
I love that number 3.
It's different to topic 3.
Okay.
Okay, question number 3 is, if you could say one thing to a business owner who's pulling their hair out because they thought when they were starting their business it was going to be the road to freedom, and instead they feel that it's nowhere near that.
Yes.
What's that one thing you would say?
Stop abdicating responsibility and just expecting that somebody else is going to solve all of these problems, right? Like there's 2 things that you cannot abdicate. Responsibility around your money and responsibility around your marketing. And it wasn't until I took personal responsibility for learning both of those things, but particularly in this context, marketing, that I exponentially grew my business. And what I did is I got a tutor. I got a marketing tutor who is a marketer, great results. And I said, I'll pay you to teach me everything you know.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to do it for me. I want you to look over my shoulder and as I go through the motions.
Yeah.
That can work for some people. Read books. There's phenomenal books out there. I've got my latest book that's coming out shortly called The Profitable Marketing Machine, which goes through our entire end-to-end system with all of the playbooks, all the tools, all the templates, everything you need end-to-end. You need to get into the driver's seat because the difference between outsourcing and abdication is whether you hand something over from a position of knowing or unknowing.
Yeah.
And if you hand it over from a position of unknowing, you're going to get taken advantage of. People are going to take you for a ride. And the issue is nobody is ever going to know your business as well as you do and your market as well as you do and your genius as well as you do. So it's far easier for you to learn the marketing skills and be able to apply them than it is to try and teach somebody else your market.
So, own your business.
Own your business.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, mate.
Good to have you here today.